This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. Trust me, I'm like a smart person. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
I had the best words.
Tolerated.
I know words.
Mike Pounds.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation. But there's no better word than stupid.
Anonymous, really anonymous.
I'm very highly educated. One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water. I had the best words.
God bless the United States.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
Woke. Can't let that happen.
Nation, Waldorf Nation. It's Monday. We got a show. Let's do it. I know. All right. Everybody, welcome. Please like and share if you haven't already. We're gonna have some fun stories, including Donald Trump, pretty much saying "F the police." Interesting message. I'm going to talk about that. We have, of course, who's paying his legal bills. We have the Texas governor getting caught retweeting something incredibly embarrassing, hilarious. We have Ron DeSantis on the wokeness. That's right. We're going to talk about woke. The wokers. Yes, we have more of that, including some good news, though. We got a couple of good news stories. We are going to talk about the investigation into the fake elector plot. Some developments in that. And then, of course, Ron DeSantis takes another loss in his his war against drag queens. Oh, and there may have been something that happened in Russia. Yeah. Honestly, though, that's a pretty big thing, and people who are smarter at foreign policy are probably already talking about that. So we're just gonna have some fun today as we ease ourselves into a brand new week. All right, well, that's it. Let's start out with Trump versus police. Former President Donald Trump was in Michigan for a campaign event over the weekend and decided to take a shot at law enforcement, as well as a list of other imaginary enemies. Well, let's take a look.
We are a failing nation. We are a nation in decline. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. It's totally corrupt, and we will never let it happen. This is the final battle. With you at my side, we will demolish the deep state. We will expel the warmongers from our government. We will drive out the globalists. We will cast out the communists, Marxists, and fascists. And we will throw off the sick political class that hates our country. We will rout the fake news media, and we will defeat crooked Joe Biden. We will liberate America from these villains once and for all.
Oh, wow. So wait. Going after the globalists, the communists, the Marxists, and the fascists. wait, if you throw out the fascists, you'd be throwing out, well, quite a few of your own supporters. Just saying. Just saying.
Pink-haired communists.
I know. Okay, anyway. So, funny enough, early on in that video, he talked about how, it's it's the radical left lunatics using law enforcement. So basically, Donald Trump is now F the police. I'm not saying it. He just said it. Not in that specific, way, but, I mean, if he thinks that law enforcement has been co-opted by the radical left, the communists, the social, whatever he's railing against, well, then the natural position would be to hate law enforcement. I mean, I'm just saying that's where it comes from. All right, so funny enough, Donald Trump had done everything he could to bolster law enforcement during his 4 years in office, and so doesn't really make a whole lot of sense there. But there's other things that don't really make sense. He also mentioned the warmongers. We're gonna get rid of the warmongers. But wait, if he's against the warmongers, he might as well just get rid of pretty much everybody in the government, including himself. Again, Donald Trump, the man who bragged about knowing more about warfare than any other person in history, including more than the generals. I know more about. I knew more than the generals do. I know better than I know more about war. I'm the most. I'm the best guy at war. Really? You had bone spurs. Which feet did you have the bone spurs on? I don't know. Was it the left one or the right one? Maybe both. I don't know. He can't figure it out. He also, by the way, bragged about steering more money to the Pentagon for ships, planes, etc. Now, normally you don't generally keep ramping up spending on the Pentagon unless you plan to use it. And, oh, right, he did. He did. Remember the Moab in Afghanistan? Yeah, that was Trump. Look, when it comes down to it, Donald Trump does not have a core set of principles and beliefs. No, the reason that he hates law enforcement now is because, look, he's on the receiving end of some of it. Wow. And on that, by the way, he also added a little bit of a spin to it. Take a look.
I'm being indicted for you, and I believe the you is more than 200 million people that love our country. They're out there, and they love our country. This is a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time.
I'm being indicted for you. Really? For you who? Who? I don't remember the average American getting to take home copies of classified nuclear materials. And thank goodness. Thank goodness I don't remember that. Thank goodness that never happened. So, no, I'm being indicted for you. For you. And look, man, it's ridiculous marketing. But at the same time, somehow it works. Somehow it works. Look, NBC News reported on Sunday that recent polls show a 5% jump among Republican voters for Donald Trump after his indictments. That's right, he jumped in the polls. People took a look at him after him being indicted and were like, that's our man. Criminal? Hell yes. Yes, we're going to vote for the guy who's alleged to be, a criminal. Criming. By the way, same thing. Same person, same people who didn't like Crooked Hillary. Criminal, lock her up. Oh, Donald Trump. We support this criminal though. Jesus. I know. In fact, they do some mental gymnastics to try to, square that circle. Let's just say that 6 out of 10 Republicans think the indictments, investigations into Donald Trump are politically motivated. So that it's an easy way around that one. Oh yeah, no, well, he's not actually a criminal. This is political. No, this is something that Donald Trump over the Mar-a-Lago stuff, the documents This is something that he brought upon himself by just not returning documents that he was supposed to return. And while he had the power to do so, decided not to declassify it. You know, apparently he just decided, no, I'm just going to take them anyway. Who cares if I declassify them? Well, it turns out NARA actually cares. You know, the National Archives and all that. You know, yeah. It turns out people actually care. If you declassify documents, which again you had power to declassify most of these documents without going through a process. And there are some that you still have the power to do so, but you have to go through a process in order to do so when it's relevant to national security. But hey, who cares about that? Just whatever. Don't care. Gonna take them home anyway, not declassify them, not even try to go through a process, and then claim that they're mine, and then fail to return them, and then tell your lawyers to lie about returning them, and then, oh my goodness, I just got searched by the FBI. Oh no, I must be the victim. No, everything you did to yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. F around and find out. But there's more. According to Democratic pollster Jeff Horwitz of Hart Research Associates, said of the GOP voters, not only are they sticking with Trump post-federal indictment, there are several signs that his support is growing or others are losing ground, particularly Ron DeSantis. Yeah, so Trump doing better, Ron DeSantis faltering, and no one else is even near enough in the polls to have any sort of big impact on this Republican nomination.
Florida's ground zero for the nursing home. I mean, we're God's waiting room.
It looks like his campaign is now in God's waiting room. You know, life support, not doing well. Unless something drastic changes, and it has to be pretty drastic. I really do think Donald Trump may just walk away with the Republican nomination once again. So, Republican Party literally driving itself off a cliff by by probably very likely going to nominate a criminal. Law and order, folks. Law and order. Wow. All right. But don't worry, he's going to get you to pay his bills. So, you know. New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Shane Goldmacher have yet another story about Donald Trump basically using donor money to pay his personal expenses. Now, the Times reports that when Mr. Trump kicked off his 2024 campaign back in November, his website noted that for every dollar raised online, 99 cents went to his campaign and a penny went to his Save America PAC. So now Save America is basically he's treating it as a personal slush fund, essentially. Now, Internet Archival records show that sometime in February or March, he then adjusted that split. Now his campaign share has been reduced to 90% of donations and 10% going to Save America PAC. Which, again, going from 99 to 1 to 90-10, how many more times is it going to change? We don't know. Now, the existence of the group, according to CNN, has allowed Mr. Trump to have small donors pay for his legal expenses, rather than paying for them himself. And to that I say, because of course. Did you really expect Donald Trump to pay his own bills? No, he's going to get his fans to do it. And by the way, they're more than happy to do it. Ask a MAGA guy, like, hey, you cool with paying Donald Trump's legal fees? Paying for his lawyers and stuff, and, against this, all of this deep state witch hunt hoaxery. And I'm sure they're going to tell you, yes, we are going to pay his legal bills. Prove me wrong. And by the way, it's legal for him to do. In fact, the Times report indicates that the arrangement allows Trump to skirt around rules declaring that PACs cannot spend money directly on a candidate's campaign, and a campaign committee can't directly pay for things for Trump's personal benefit. And this is how legalized corruption works. Remember, it's not just Trump's campaign. Any campaign can do this. So, now you don't see a lot of other campaigns do this because they're not as, either news does not cover them in this way, and that's entirely possible, or Trump's a special type of personally corrupt, and is the only one who has this many legal fees to need to do this, and is cheap enough to do this. So now, the result is small donors to Donald Trump are stuck paying the bill when he does, let me just say, alleged crime, okay? Funny enough, that's one of the reasons why he keeps doing alleged crime. The other being the fact that he's never seen jail time as a result of, so far, of alleged crime, okay? He either stiffs his lawyers, declares bankruptcies, or gets one of his PACs to pay it for him. And I think there's really no bigger grift that is going on in politics today than this right here. Now, the report also says in the course of the past year, Save America's coffers were down by over $100 million as it covered Trump and his allies over the course of their legal battles. And that was, by the way, before Trump's indictments this year, both of which he, of course, has been trying to fundraise off of, because, of course, he is. In February 2022, the PAC announced that it had 122 million coffers. By the beginning of 2023, the PAC's cash on hand was down to just 18 million. The rest had been spent on staff salaries, on the cost of Mr. Trump's political activities last year, including some spending on other candidates and groups, and in other ways. That included the $60 million that was transferred to MAGA Inc., a super PAC supporting Mr. Trump, and more than $16 million going to pay legal bills. Mr. Trump's rivals are not similarly splitting their online proceeds with an affiliated PAC. So Donald Trump's the only one that's doing this. And, of course, legal bills are expensive. Probably why. I mean, look, don't worry, though, MAGA guys. You're paying for it. Again, I doubt you're really going to care, since you support Donald Trump no matter what. The people who are with Trump are used to being suckered and will continue to be suckered, and they'll be happy about being suckered. Well, let's be honest about it. Now, that said, compare that to someone, for example, on the left. If I had found out that Bernie Sanders, who I support, was facing all sorts of legal bills, but then was trying to get donors to pay for them, I would be livid. I'd be furious about it. I'd never give to Bernie Sanders ever again. I'd never give it to anybody who has, who did that. If I ever found that out. But see, when it comes to Donald Trump on the right, it's a given. It's absolutely a given. And one more thing, and this report also goes a little bit into how Trump is saving more money that he is directing towards himself and his own legal bills. The report went on to examine how Trump's campaign was saving money by going to events, basically attending events held by others, therefore paid for by others, and failing to really hold his own political rallies. Remember, he used to hold rallies all the time. 2016, 2020, he was holding rallies left and right, and now he's mainly guesting at other people's events. Maybe a bit because it's early in the campaign season. He hasn't really busted that out yet. Don't know. Not sure. But, it just seems like he's cheaping out. Which is, entirely, completely on brand for Donald Trump. Grifter's gonna grift, I guess. Okay. Moving on to the next story. We have the woke mind virus. That's right.
The wokers.
Okay. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was recently duped by a website into sharing fake news.
Whoopsie.
So now this story shared by the governor of Texas comes from the Dunning-Kruger Times. You know, Dunning-Kruger Times already. A little bit of a red flag. But anyway, it claims that country music singer Garth Brooks was booed off the stage at the 123rd Annual Texas Country Jamboree in the town of Hambriston, Texas. Hambriston. Ah, it's a Texas name. Let me show you the tweet here that he shared. That's right. Go woke, go broke. Good job, Texas. Of course. Except, no. That jamboree, not a real event. Hambriston, not a real place. Doesn't exist. Fake news. Not real. Yeah, that's right. Hambriston, not a real Texas town. You know, look, someone like me who is not from Texas, I would be excused for not knowing that there's not a Hambriston, Texas. But Governor Greg Abbott is the governor of Texas. You would think that he would know if such a town or city actually exists. You would think. But apparently, no.
Whoopsie.
He looks at that headline and says, nope, nailed it. Seems legit. Look, these people, they will retweet essentially anything that agrees with them without, by the way, ever clicking or reading the article. Because that's the only way. If you actually click the link, you would find that that article was written by Flag Eagleton. I mean, come on. Flag Eagleton. Stupid. At the Dunning-Kruger Times.
You idiot.
And again, if you do click the link and you navigate to the About Us page, you would also find this. Disclaimer. Dunning-Kruger Times is a subsidiary of the America's Last Line of Defense network of parody, satire, and tomfoolery, or as Snopes called it before they lost their war on satire, junk news. About satire, before you complain and decide satire is synonymous with comedy. Satire, the use of humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule to expose and criticize people's stupidity or vices, particularly in the context of contemporary politics and other topical issues. Everything on this website is fiction. It is not a lie. It is not fake news, because it is not real. If you believe that it is real, you should have your head examined. Image similarities for the site's pure fantasy and actual people, places, and events are purely coincidental, and all images should be considered altered and satirical. See above if you're still having an issue with this satire thing.
You idiot.
Stupid. Yes, that's right. Now, final irony here is the fact that go woke, go broke. Not even the case. Now, Brooks, by the way, Garth Brooks. Okay. Again, you may have heard him. Okay, you may have heard of him. I've heard of him. I'm not a country music fan or listener by any stretch of the imagination, but I've even heard of Garth Brooks. Okay? Turns out he's actually pretty popular, even in Texas. In fact, last year he sold out the 72,000-seat NRG Stadium in Houston and the 80,000-seat AT&T Stadium in Arlington when his tour visited Texas last year. So, and by the way, Garth Brooks has, always been, I guess, a fairly non-controversial figure, okay? And generally fairly open-minded. He hasn't really waded into politics, but is one of those people that's just like, I don't know, vote for the person, not the party. All right, sure. So why are people mad at him then? I mean, why is Governor Greg Abbott retweeting a satirical hit piece, essentially, on Garth Brooks? What did Garth Brooks do to you? Well, it turns out there is something that is not fake news, and that's Brooks refusing to dump Bud Light from his bar. Yes, that's right. In an interview with Billboard, after this whole Dylan Mulvaney row where conservatives were shooting cans of Bud Light and dumping them out after they bought them, by the way. Sometimes even buying stores out of Bud Light so that they can go and destroy them in creatively dumb ways. Okay. They already got your money, so... And then, of course, some actually figured out, hey, maybe we shouldn't give them money. Oh, I know, we'll stop buying it. There you go, that's how you do a boycott. Okay, sure. So now, he said this. I want, to his bar, or not to his bar, but, about his bar. I want it to be a place you feel safe in. I want it to be a place where you feel like there are manners and people like one another. Okay. Our thing here is, if you are let into this house, love one another. If you're an a-hole, there are plenty of other places on Lower Broadway. He also had said on a live stream, on his Facebook page, that he embraced diversity and inclusiveness. He said, "That's me. Well, that's always been me." Oh, so that means Garth Brooks, he's woke.
The wokers.
Oh no. He's part of the woke mob.
Woke mob.
No. I know. The collective sound of MAGA chuds, getting very, very angry.
Woke.
You're right. All right, so now Abbott later on, of course, deleted the tweet, but it's too late. It lives forever online, on the internet, for everyone to make fun of him for, and of course they did, and it was great. But the thing that's on my mind that I enjoy the most is how it illustrates the fact that reactionary chuds are some of the dumbest people alive, the most gullible. Again, they fall for fake stories literally all the time. Whether or not it's, cat litter in classrooms, which is not a real thing, or cat boxes in classrooms, I should say, is not a real thing. The cat litter is, but it's for a horrifying reason, to help clean up, vomit, of course, from students, but also blood if there's a mass shooting. So that's, again, horrifying. But then there's also, this idea that conservatives have been floating around that there are children that identify as cats, furries. It's got their fur in a twist, I should say, where they think all this weird stuff is happening in the classroom that there's no evidence of. And look, it just makes you think about how much fake news is really out there that's generated for one purpose: getting reactionaries mad over nothing, over things that don't exist. And the thing about that is, a lot of it is not satire. As I mentioned, they're legitimately angry at things that are not happening. And yet people report on this. They rack up millions of views on YouTube from people who are way, way too comfortable and spend their time online looking up conspiracy theories and getting mad at things like, again, as I mentioned, the litter boxes in classrooms. But again, it's not just, fake stuff or stuff that's not real, but they also get mad at things that don't matter. Why should anybody care that a transgender influencer got a personalized can of Bud Light with her face on it? Something that's not publicly available to buy. Nobody can go out and, buy that can. That was just for her, that they sent her. That was it. It doesn't make any sense. But then you realize it doesn't have to make any sense. When people are angry, others can capitalize on that to make money for themselves. This is just another gigantic grift. It is the outrage industrial complex. That's it. The people that are stoking the anger and then the ones who use that distraction do so to pass laws to benefit themselves and their donors. Or just to prevent them, anyone else from doing anything to help the average working class person. That's really it. Those are the real winners in all of this. So understand what the real problem is It's the grifters taking advantage of people and their emotions. And it's funny because they say the left are the emotional ones. I don't know about that one. But wait, we've got more woke. The wokery continues. Took me a whole 2 seconds to realize it was a fake story. Then you are qualified. You are more qualified to be governor of Texas than the current governor. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is blaming pretty much everything on wokeness. Take a look.
Don't think that woke doesn't have an impact on your life and will really be able to have a devastating impact if it takes hold even further. When woke takes our economy by things like ESG, the average person becomes poorer as a result of that. When woke overtakes the education system, the average student becomes dumber as a result of that. When woke overtakes our criminal justice system, like it has in San Francisco, like it has in Los Angeles, the average person becomes less safe in their communities as a result in it. Tell me it doesn't affect people's lives. I was just in San Francisco. I saw, in 20 minutes on the ground, people defecating on the sidewalk. I saw people using fentanyl. I saw people smoking crack right there in the open, right there on the street. It was a civilization in decay.
And you say that's the woke, right? Okay, first off, let's just start out with, I'll take things that never happened for $500, Alex. Because that never happened. Do you think Ron DeSantis would ever go anywhere remotely unsafe? Because, again, you would have to go into some unsafe neighborhoods for you to see that stuff happening. I'm just saying. Inconceivable. Okay, inconceivable. DeSantis, knowing that guy, he would probably faint if he saw somebody light up a joint near him. Okay? He might have to get on his boots. You know, the big old white boots that he was wearing that didn't ever really get dirty when he was helping out with, I think it was hurricane cleanup. Right. Look, that said, now does he bring up some issues with, drug use, addiction, homelessness? Yes, people defecating in the streets. Okay, yeah, those are legitimate issues, and they do happen, by the way. And they do happen in California. California has homeless people. Oh, you know what? What place also has homeless people? Florida. In fact, I believe in every state there are homeless people. Yes, it's a pretty big problem. And a good chunk of them are veterans. Again, there are people with addiction issues, and there are just many people. In fact, the vast majority of homeless people are people that cannot afford to rent or buy a home. So you might want to actually figure out a solution to that by, there is a solution. Pay people more. And also try to bring down rents and mortgages. Wow, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Of course. Now, talking about drugs and overdoses, again, California has that. And so does Florida. In fact, Florida actually has significantly higher drug overdose mortality rate than California does, despite California being huge. Much, much bigger than Florida, population-wise. So now, they look at per capita, okay? In 2021, Florida had 37.5 drug overdose deaths per 100,000 people, whereas California had less, 26.6 drug overdose deaths per 100,000 people. Wait, so it's actually worse in Florida with a smaller population. There's more. Florida also had of course, higher firearm death rate than California. and a higher homicide rate overall than California. Now, that said, as far as public pooper incidents, well, I had a hard time finding a metric on that one because I don't really think anybody is keeping track of public pooper incidents. Okay, but I think on that I'm just gonna have to give Florida the prize on that one as well. Simply because, well, let me show you. All right. Huh. Yeah. Florida man poops in court, flings feces to judge. Then it gets weird. Oh, then it gets weird. If that's not already weird enough, no, then it gets weird. Okay. One more for you. That was from January 23rd. That was earlier this year. Florida man, pooping perpetrator. Look, man, Florida, I mean, there's a reason that there is a popular headline called Florida Man and not California Man or Michigan Man or Massachusetts Man. No, it's Florida Man. Everyone knows Florida Man. And look, weird stuff happens in Florida, and that includes a lot of public pooping.
They call them dumps, big, massive dumps.
Big, massive dumps.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times, where the water rushes out to sea because you could never handle it.
Just never handle it. No, look, here's the thing. Every state has its issues, obviously. No state is perfect. Yes, there is states that are facing crime, drug addiction, homelessness. In fact, pretty much every state has issues with that. It's almost as like it's a national issue. And, you could go through a litany of different causes. Many of them, of course, I believe being poverty, being pretty much the main cause of a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of things that spiral off on that. Poverty. But it's not because of woke. Okay, the one thing that is not the cause of all of this is woke.
Woke.
All right? Just saying. No, again, you do have policy, and later in that speech he talks about how, it's leftist policy. No, we've never actually seen a place where you have real leftist policy that, again, targets the root of all this issue, of all these issues, which is poverty. Instead, where you see a lot of criminalizing of the homeless, you see the continued criminalization of addiction, and again, the criminalization of just poverty itself. And when you do all that stuff, that's not going to solve any of the problems. Okay? You actually have to have systems in place, good policies, to get people out of poverty, to get them off of hard drugs, to get people into recovery, to get people off the streets and into homes, and to get people into jobs. You have to have things, policies in place to do that. And look, criticize California for, all you want. There are people in that state that are trying. There's a lot of work to do. There's no magic bullet that's going to fix all of this overnight, especially. But you have to at least try, and you need to know how to proceed in order to solve these social ills that have, again, been with us since the start of civilization. Now, but for DeSantis, it's pretty clear what he's doing. It's easy to sit back and criticize woke than it is to actually come up with a real plan and then enact that plan to help people. And that's why he's going to continue to criticize woke. Okay. I think we're gonna skip to the last story first. We're gonna do things out of order today. So I'm just being a rebel. But since we're talking about, Florida, we might as well talk about another L for the illustrious Florida governor. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has taken another big loss in his war against drag queens. Federal judge has recently issued a temporary injunction against Florida's ban on drag performances. That's right. The ban, which was signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on May 17th, allows the State Department of Business and Professional Regulation to revoke the business license of any venues that allow minors to see drag performances, even if their parents give consent, as well as to issue $5,000 to $10,000 fines against said business. Hey, whatever happened to supporting small business and freedom? Well, not if you're apparently woke. Anyone who violates the law can be charged with a criminal misdemeanor. So that has had real, repercussions on one such restaurant chain called Hamburger Mary's. Now, Hamburger Mary's features drag waitresses and family-friendly drag performances. Now, family-friendly drag performances means no nudity. So, let's make that very, very clear, okay? They sued after the law was passed, saying the law targeted their First Amendment rights to free speech. The lawsuit, the company said it had lost about 20% of its reservations since announcing that minors could no longer dine at the restaurant in the presence of drag performers. In his ruling, federal judge Gregory Presnell pointed out that the law's text specifically forbids children from seeing live performances featuring lewd conduct or lewd exposure of prosthetic or imitation genitals or breasts, but then pointed out that the law neither defines what is considered lewd nor what constitutes a live performance. So there's some ambiguity here on what they mean. Presnell wrote that a live performance could conceivably range from a sold-out burlesque show to a skit at a backyard family barbecue. I mean, kind of backyard barbecues are you having? And you gonna invite us? Sounds pretty fun. Okay, but anyway. Now, he also asks, what are the implications for cancer survivors with prosthetic genitals or breasts? And that's another good question that I would not have thought of. You're right. Yes, cancer survivors, especially women who have suffered through breast cancer, will sometimes or oftentimes get mastectomies and then get something prosthetic to, make them feel, let's call it a form of gender-affirming care, right? Because that's essentially what it is. Helps them feel like they're women. And of course, they are women, and they're with or without, but it helps them feel better about themselves. And I don't think there's any problem with that. Not at all. But again, people like that, I mean, technically you've got a prosthetic breast now. And so if you're, doing a poetry reading or you're, doing some karaoke, are you suddenly now in violation of Ron DeSantis's law? What's going on? It's pretty vague here. And that's kind of the point. They cast a wide net to get drag performers. That's it. But of course, they went too wide, made it too vague, and there it is. As a result of the vague and overbroad language, President wrote, Hamburger Mary's and other businesses cannot know with any confidence whether its shows will expose it to liability under the act. He also pointed out that this doesn't do anything to protect children, which again, Republicans were pushing these drag bans as a way to theoretically protect children from what? I don't know. Seeing someone in exaggerated dress and makeup? Ooh, scary. Is Viagra gender affirming care? Damn right it is. That's the way I think of it. Now, here's what Presnell said. The state claims that the statute seeks to protect children generally from obscene live performances. However, Florida already has statutes that provide such protection. There you go. Rather, the statute is specifically designed to suppress the free speech of drag queen performers. Well, yes, again, they're pretty honest about that. Yeah. State Representative Randy Fine, who sponsored this bill, said that it would, quote, protect our children by ending the gateway propaganda to this evil drag queen story time. Imagine having your life be so privileged that you think that drag queens reading a book to children is a gateway to evil. Yeah.
It's the devil, okay? We're under attack.
No, you're not. No.
Get in a long tube with a bunch of
No,
demons.
we're not even going to talk about the tube full of demons. Okay. Evil, right? Now, here's again the irony here, the hypocrisy, I should say. Look, reading a book, again, drag queen reading a book to a child, gateway to evil. Taking them to Hooters, totally fine. What? Having child beauty pageants. That's right. Things like toddlers and tiaras. Totally fine. Not grooming at all. What are you talking about? What? That's totally fine. But having a drag queen read a book to your kid, not fine. Gateway to evil, they say. Really? Really? Again, family-friendly drag show. That means no nudity. Because if it had nudity, it wouldn't be family-friendly. Not fine. That's ridiculous. No, so ridiculous. Now, the judge also made one more point about how this law does not protect the children. He said that this argument rings hollow because state law allows any minor to attend an R-rated film at a movie theater if accompanied by a parent or guardian. So, a child can bring their kid to a movie filled with violence, blood, gore, death, and a little bit of nudity in it, by the way, because rated R allows that, but is barred under Florida state law to, from having a drag queen read them a book. Insanity. Again, maybe it's not just a drag queen. Maybe they also just hate books too. Wouldn't surprise me. Florida really outdoing itself in trying to be the worst state in the country for anyone who wanted to have any sort of fun, ever. And by the way, they're doing so by crushing freedom, going after the First Amendment. But again, as all of these chuds usually do, because again, the right wing, the far right, they've never been the champions or paragons of freedom. They have always gone after people's freedoms of expression, freedoms of speech, freedoms to demonstrate. They've never been for freedom. And so they always tend to overreach and trample over people's First Amendment rights. Now, they're getting challenged on this. In fact, another federal judge recently issued 2 other rulings against Florida, again, crushing the civil rights of people. Their ban on gender-affirming healthcare for trans youth. So this is actually the 3rd loss in a row for Ron DeSantis. Oops. Now, look, that said, this is a small win. Okay. And well, I'll take it. I mean, small temporary win to see whether or not the next step is to see whether or not it's, this ban is unconstitutional. If it is, then Ron DeSantis and Republicans will go back and amend it and try again. Try to find some way to ban drag queens, because again, that's what it's about. And these culture war issues, you wonder why Ron DeSantis focuses so much on them, focuses so much on the woke. And it's because he doesn't have anything else. There's no real agenda here to help working people pay their bills, put food on the table, save for retirement, get health care. There's no other policies that Ron DeSantis ever talks about that I can see on the campaign trail than stopping woke. Because again, that's all they have. Okay. One more segment here. Here we go. On Friday, CNN reported that special counsel Jack Smith has decided to give some limited plea deals to at least 2 Republican fake electors in exchange for testimony. So now this is part of the January 6th election criminal investigation. So Jack Smith, of course, has 2 different investigations going on. One of the Mar-a-Lago documents, the other one into the January 6th Capitol insurrection. So now, according to the source, the new activity on this front could signal that investigators are nearing some charging decisions in part of the 2020 election probe. So now, these fake electors during the 2020 election, of course, lied to the government. They claimed to be the lawful electors in 7 different battleground states, and were pledging to give electoral votes to Donald Trump, even though the states had been officially won by President Joe Biden. So now, or I should say, candidate Joe Biden at the time. Now, the report noted that prosecutors were playing hardball with some of the witnesses in recent weeks, refusing to grant extensions to grand jury subpoenas for testimony and demanding they comply before the end of the month. So apparently that pressure that was put on these fake electors has them saying, oh, okay, look, we may have some information here. Let's make a deal. Let's get a immunity deal. Give me something in return because I believe that you have something, or I'm sorry, that I believe that I have something that you might be interested in. So depending on what that is, fun. So now, in this situation, let me just go back to the report actually. In the situations where prosecutors have given a witness immunity, special counsel's office arrived at the courthouse in Washington ready to compel their testimony after the witnesses indicated that they would decline to answer questions under the Fifth Amendment. The compelled testimony has allowed the special counsel's office to lock in witness statements and potentially information that other investigators who have looked in the aftermath of the 2020 election could not obtain. What kind of information? I mean, that would be important to know. It has to be important to the prosecution of someone that's bigger. You give plea deals, immunity deals to the smaller fish in order to get the bigger one. So, and there's always a bigger fish. And so, makes you wonder what they're offering, what they believe these fake electors have, what kind of information they're going to share, they're going to testify. Now, at least one of the other witnesses has spoken to investigators in the past couple of weeks outside of the grand jury with an agreement the person would be protected from potential prosecution. Again, that might be incredibly relevant here. Now, look, who do I think they have information on? Personally, I think Donald Trump, but I could be wrong. This is speculation. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if they were trying to get anything on Trump's direct involvement here in the fake elector plot. One of the fake elector cases at the forefront of this investigation involves Nevada. The Republicans at the center of this effort asserted that Trump won in 7 battleground states that he had actually lost, and signed documents claiming that they were the rightful electors. The 2 Nevada Trump electors that were given limited immunity, State's Republican Party Chairman Michael McDonald and another Nevada GOP official, Jim D. Graffenreid, both testified before the grand jury last week. So they've got their deals. Again, who did they get that information? Who did they get orders from? Now, this is not the only thing that the special counsel is looking into. Lawyers who have been in touch with the special counsel's office in the wake of Trump's indictment in Florida have found that prosecutors are still examining what appears to be other aspects of the investigation into Trump and his allies' efforts to subvert the 2020 election results. They have pursued information about the former president's words and actions after the 2020 election, including court-ordered testimony from his former vice president, Mike Pence, and have also asked multiple witnesses recently about Trump's actions before, during, and after the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. They're also looking into his former legal team. You know, people like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell. Sidney Powell, of course, being the Kraken lady, also
in Venezuela.
Yeah. As well as former Justice Department appointee Jeffrey Clark, who had tried to help Trump's push to use the Department of Justice to forcibly overturn the election. Giuliani had played a key role in overseeing the fake electors plot across 7 battleground states as part of the broader push to overturn the 2020 presidential elections for Trump, as CNN has previously reported. So, interesting. But there's more information, and that is the monies. They're looking into the monies. Oh, finally they're looking into the monies. Prosecutors have also continued to focus on potential financial crimes and money laundering after Trump raised millions of dollars off false claims that the election was stolen. One former Trump campaign official who testified this month before the grand jury was asked about specific campaign ads and messaging produced as part of those fundraising activities, according to a source familiar with the matter. I've been saying this all along. Follow the money. You gotta follow the money. And here they are. They're following the money. Look, it's not just one thing. And that's actually what's different about these other investigations. They're not just doing one thing. There are multiple angles here. There's multiple paths of attack that they are going to take, potentially. And that is, I mean, the money, the fake electors, Trump's legal team. They're handing out deals now to people involved about compelled testimony. Again, there's 7 different battleground states they're looking into. Georgia with Fani Willis. And then just all this different stuff. And look, when you hand out immunity deals, that's big. That's a big step. It means they've got something, once again, that the prosecutors want. And I'm thinking the people they want the most, or person they want the most, Donald Trump. He's at the heart of it all. But again, we're gonna have to see what Jack Smith actually pulls out here. But I'm hoping it's gonna be big. All right, and there we are. Follow money is also Sinema's motto as a senator. True, no lies detected there. All right. So let me read some super chats. Thanks to members here. Let's see. Gabby Mathis, very kind, $20. Says, my Michigander hubby wanted to move to Texas. I'm glad we didn't. We live in Arizona, which is not great either, but better than Texas. Well, there you go. Also, Gabby, thank you for the very kind 6 gifted memberships. Appreciate that. All right. Let's see. Oh, wow. Twitch. Lots of stuff going on here on Twitch. Occam's Taser, thank you for the very kind 2 tier 1 gifted tier 1 subs. And also to and Tim, thank you for resubbing for a month of tier 1 for 22 months. Happy sub anniversary. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's see. That's all I've got today. Again, please remember to like and share the stream if you haven't already. Yeah. Oh, back to Twitch here. We are going to raid into, let's see. Just gonna raid into the surfs here. I will check out that link. Thank you. You can call me Jess. Yeah, I'll check that out later. Thank you all. Love you. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, nation. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.
Whoopsie. Beta. Beta bear.
Peachtree dish.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! He admitted!
They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels